As humans, we don't just have the privilege of being able to move massive amounts of weights with our legs, but we're also perfectly built to go for very long distances without needing to take a break. However, what's even more amazing is that we can incorporate absurdly complex movement patterns into our training, and through doing that, we can achieve much greater heights than we could ever with simple exercises. The more complex a movement pattern, the more benefits we can reap from it, like mobility added to our strength, added to our muscle endurance, and even more importantly, an insane amount of coordination and strengthening our mind-muscle connection. So today, we're going to go through 5 of the most amazing leg exercises that cover all of these bases. And we'll do so step by step, so even if you're a beginner, you can jump right in. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Starting with one of my favorite, the dragon pistol squat, which is going to require the most from all of these aspects: strength, flexibility, coordination, and a strong mind-muscle connection. Now, the easiest way to get there is by starting on an elevation. We're only going to go into a tiny bend without extending that leg until you are very comfortable in that short and controlled movement pattern. Over time, we can start going a little bit lower and extending sideways before we switch. And since we are on an elevation, we have a lot more space to work with a lack of flexibility. Once you're comfortable with that movement pattern on the elevation, you can start working on the floor by going through the exact same progression, starting with tiny bends, increasing the bend, and once you are comfortable and low, you can start extending sideways. And at some point, you will be able to perfectly execute the dragon squat and move on to the next exercise. Moving us to one of the more flexibility dominant exercises, the switch between deep squats, hip thrust, and pike positions, which is going to add massive amounts of flexibility to our legs and can be progressed through very easily by working with our hands, taking our time in the movement and controlling the pattern itself. And over time, once we have the strength, our hands will be locked behind our back, so we need more control, more mobility, working on our hip, knee and ankle mobility, our leg control, our posterior chain strength with anterior chain stretch, and of course, the other way around, strengthening our anterior chain when going into the pike position while stretching our posterior chain. Hands behind the back, deep squat, hip thrust, push forward, reverse in a controlled fashion, and pike. This massive amount of flexibility will help us with our dragon squat as well as all the other exercises we'll be going through now. Moving us to one of my favorite exercise combos, and if you can go through this entire movement pattern in one single go without requiring any help, you are not just stronger than most people, but have a lot more control and flexibility than probably 99% of the people who go to the gym and work out with classic isolation work or with machines. Pull in, move into a pistol squat, move into a shrimp, reverse, sit down all the way, being seated fully upright as your starting position, already having a nice stretch in our posterior chain. Pull in hip flexor and quad strength, sit up a lot of core and hip flexor strength, extend a lot of quad strength, pull back, hip flexor and quad stretch, quad strength, even more quad strength, and even more posterior chain stretch and massive amounts of control. This moves us to one of the movement patterns that should be in everyone's repertoire. Even if you don't do any of the other exercises, this should be a must. And that, of course, being the ape-like animal movement patterns, where we are really low and working with our hips, knees, and ankles to move laterally. Not only can we go through shorter movement patterns, which are going to open up our hips a lot, but we can also go through longer movement patterns, which are going to add adductor stretches and massive amounts of added bonus upper body strength and control, because we are supporting our entire body weight on our arms, moving laterally with our hips as low as possible, opening them up, working on our adductors, and massive strength in our legs as well. If you can do this for 2 or 3 minutes, you're gonna notice the absurd pump and burn in your legs, even though you're not using any sort of weight except for your body weight. This exercise being especially important for people who want to work on that pancake fold, for instance, opening up the insides of our thighs and legs, as well as anyone who wants to work on their splits, be it a front or a side split, because this is exactly what we need to get into those very much flexibility requiring positions. Moving us to the exercise that is gonna by far add the most amount of size and strength to your legs, requiring immense strength because we're gonna be moving very explosively. The weighted frog hop, much easier to replicate with a kettlebell. Bring it right behind your head and tiny jumps. We're not extending our legs, we're just moving in tiny movements, explosively and quickly. Adding just a handful of repetitions of this exercise and starting to increase the weight to go through classic progressive overload will show you not only how weak your legs are, but also how strong they can become with a single exercise. And now, having covered strength, stabilization, coordination, size, and flexibility, there is one single thing left, and that will be, you guessed it, cardio. Now, when it comes to cardio, the best thing you can do for all of your lower body joints will be the jump rope, strengthening our knees, hips, and ankles as a bonus, but most importantly, working on our cardio system, which in turn is going to help us with all the other exercises, being able to do more repetitions, being able to add more weight, and in general, increasing our quality of life immensely. So when we get older, we have more control over our entire body, and we can still do all the things we enjoy doing when we're still young. Box jump is all about building explosive strength and speed for our leg musculature, jumping from the spot with both feet simultaneously and maximizing the amount of strength we can generate throughout the single movement, helping us build not only a lot of strength, but also pack on some size when it comes to our leg musculature, and masterful control throughout speedy movements. Not to mention that working on box jumps is an insane amount of fun simply by increasing the elevation you want to jump on until you are close to barely being able to get fully up there. This of course also includes the single leg box jump for the same kind of unilateral strength and control we mentioned with the pistol squat. Now, if you can just add 1 or 2 of these exercises to your repertoire, you're already going to see some amazing benefits from them. However, if you can put them together and use this as a complete workout, you're going to be absolutely amazed at how strong, flexible, and enduring your legs are. And I'm not kidding, leg workouts will probably become one of your favorite things to do ever. Because once you've realized all the strength and all the capabilities that you have, you will be absolutely amazed at how far you can go after that. And you won't be satisfied with just those exercises. But with that said, once again, sadly, that's all the time I've left you today. If you liked the video, like the video and subscribe. And please guys, check out other videos on this channel. Captain Cairo, peace out.